Hi everyone, this is a video for how to do the propaganda poster project. This video is going to be a little bit on the lengthy side just because I am going to explain the project itself and then also show you some student examples. Just be prepared. It's a little bit on the lengthy side. So this propaganda poster project resource, PowerPoint is super important. Everything that you need content-wise to complete this is in here. So this should be your best friend for the next week, and it will definitely be a great resource for you. If for some reason you are not able to open this, this information is throughout the class. So I'm going to open it really quick just to show you what exactly is in there. But through Unit 5, this information is all through Unit 5. So for some reason, if you are not able to open this, you should be able to find it throughout the course in Unit 5. So rhetorical appeals is the first thing that you need to make sure that you have. Rhetorical devices is the second thing. Logical fallacies is the third thing. And then the fourth thing we covered today in Class Connect, and that is propaganda techniques, which is way down here. So the propaganda techniques, right? So bandwagoning, loaded words, things like that. So this is the resource that you absolutely will want to make sure that you're using. If you have not opened that yet, I highly recommend opening it and being familiar with it. For some of you, hopefully it's just a quick review because we've been covering this for the past month almost. So with that, obviously you had some quizzes this week you needed to look at too before starting the project, but the project itself, I have open already, so I'm going to pull that up. So the propaganda poster project is worth 50 points. It's a larger assignment because it's kind of a culmination of a lot of things we've done over the past few weeks. So it's letting me know, one, if you've been paying attention, and two, if you understand what has been taught to you over the past couple weeks. So it's kind of that putting our all this hard work into action now. So for the assignment, the big thing I want to make sure that you understand is that this assignment cannot be taken from an online advertisement. You have to create your own propaganda poster. You are not allowed to use something that has already been created. So does that mean you're not allowed to take a picture from the internet or a quote from the internet? Yes, you absolutely can do that. But all of the information combined, because you're being required to have 4 different things within this poster, has to be your own work. Okay, so the first thing that you want to make sure that you have in the project is a rhetorical appeal. So remember, that's ethos, pathos, or logos. So you need to make sure there is some type of a rhetorical appeal in your propaganda poster. The second thing is a rhetorical device. So remember, that's like anaphora, repetition, metaphor, simile, personification, any of those things, right? So those are all rhetorical devices. So you have to have at least one rhetorical device. You need a logical fallacy. So logical fallacies were the ad hominem. They were the fear, what I'm trying to think, sorry, I forget what it's called. It's the word I'm looking for. Fear. Appeal to fear. All of those. So logical fallacies are, there's a few in there, so you want to make sure that you have at least one logical fallacy. And then propaganda, that's what we covered today in Class Connect, and that has to do with bandwagoning, testimonial, things like that. All right. So, like I said, that PowerPoint that has all of that information and gives you examples of all of those, that's going to be a great resource for you. So all four of these will go on one slide. So number 1 through 4 will go on one slide. You're going to create something that gives me all four of those components. I'm going to give you some student examples here in just a second, so you'll be able to reference kind of what you're looking for and what you need. So the second thing that is required is that you need to make sure that you have a slide that labels everything. So I may not know if you're using hyperbole, or I may not know if you're using personification. I may not know if you're using pathos or logos or ethos. You don't want me guessing. You want me to know for sure what direction you're going. So if it's taking me a really long time to grade your assignment, I might guess wrong, right? So I might think I know which direction you're going, but if you're not labeling and telling me, no, this is ethos and this is why this is ethos, then your grade may not turn out quite as good as you want it to. So that labeling slide is super important, okay? It gives me clarification as to your thought process. So I know that you deep down have good intentions of making sure that you get all four components on there and that you're doing your labeling, but it's super important that you don't forget to do that labeling slide, okay? The next thing I want to make sure you are being graded on kind of like, is this creative at all, or is it just kind of boring? So graphics, pictures, colors, font size, font style, all of those things really matter. So you want to be as graphic as you possibly can. You want a picture in my mind, and I want to really see that you're getting the gist of what this assignment is about. Okay, so be as creative as you possibly can. I know a few of you are going to be drawing and actually writing this out, and that is fine. The only thing that I ask is that you make sure that it is that you can scan it and get it to me somehow, right? It's going to be great if you can draw it, but if you have no way to get it to me, then you're kind of stuck. So make sure you are using whatever you're using, I actually can get. So that means that some of the newer programs and things that are super fancy, I may not have on my computer. If I can't open it, I can't grade it. So obviously Google Slides, PowerPoint, some of these other options for you, I have, and I'm able to put a download onto my computer, but there are certain things that I'm not able to download. So you just want to make sure that whatever you're using, I will be able to access it, okay? The last thing I really want to emphasize to you, and that's kind of a good thing for you, is that when you go to create this, you may realize that you might have like one piece of verbiage or one picture that represents maybe 2 or 3 different of the requirements that you need. So for example, if I'm trying to say something to strike fear in my audience, I would maybe use emotionally charged words. And I could do that both with appeal to pathos for emotion, and I could do it with appeal to fear for logical fallacy. So there is a good chance that you might have one picture or one statement that really hits 1, 2, or even possibly 3 components. That's okay. You are allowed to do that. Really good advertising does that. So that's what I want to make sure that you're looking at and that you're doing. So with that, what I want to do is I want to show you a few student examples that are really going to kind of give you an idea of where to go. You obviously are not allowed to use these, and what I do not want is I don't want someone doing a picture of someone else and putting Coke in here, and then everyone should drink Coke, and all you're doing is replacing these simple ideas, right? So you can use this as a guide, but you are not to mimic it in any way. Same goes for the next 2 that I'm going to show you. You must do your own original work, okay? So this just gives you an idea of something that maybe you can focus on and how the slides need to work, okay? So, sorry. So this is the ad. So this is the ad that the person has created. So the drink for everyone, Pepsi, right? She has the red, white, and blue. If you don't know who this is Beyonce. Everyone is drinking Pepsi. Why aren't you? Right? So The only problem I really have with this is that it's done in 4 summary slides. I really only want one. So I would necessarily not like 4. So if it can all be done on one slide, that is fantastic. But the student did a really nice job of explaining. So that's why I chose this as a student example. So the first thing they used was a rhetorical appeal, right? So the rhetorical appeal is ethos, pathos, or logos. So the rhetorical appeal is ethos because it's using Beyonce, right? So that's when we're talking about using like the doctor or your mom or someone famous, right? So that makes sense. So ethos absolutely hits that, okay? So the next thing that they're using is a rhetorical device. They're asking a rhetorical question. Everyone is drinking Pepsi. Why aren't you, right? It's not necessarily to get them to answer that question. They just want you to prompt the thinking of, yeah, why am I not drinking Pepsi if everybody else is drinking it, right? So it's a rhetorical question. It helps convince people to drink Pepsi with everyone else, right? So that's number 2. That's their rhetorical device. Number 3 is their logical fallacy. So logical fallacy being used as a hasty generalization. The ad is generalizing that Pepsi is for everyone. So the drink for everyone, right? So that's the logical fallacy that's being used. And then the last is propaganda that's being used. And the propaganda is the drink for everyone. Everyone is drinking Pepsi. And the student actually did not put what this was, but this would be bandwagoning, right? So bandwagoning is when you jump on the bandwagon because everyone else is doing it, you should do it as well, right? So that is the last example. So the student hit all of the components pretty much that they needed to, and great example. So another example we have is a student. On display today is our future. There is danger in the future. Do you know why? Because ADD is on the rise, because NDD is also on the rise, nature deficit disorder. Get your kids out now to prevent ADD and NDD. We need your help to save our future. So this is more of a summary slide that I would like to see. Everything on one slide just because I don't really want to have to click through everything, and it's all done nice and smooth right here. So it kind of makes sense. So the first thing that they're doing is that they're using sorry, hold on one second, please. All right, sorry about that. My dog keeps going in and out my door. Okay, so obviously they're showing you what their different 4 techniques are that they use. So logos, that rhetorical appeal was one of the first things that you should use. So basically, they're using logos because it appears to logic. It has facts and reason. It's saying ADD is on the rise, and because that's on the rise because of NDD. So, which if you've never heard of NDD, now you have. But it's giving kind of statistics and facts, so that makes it logical, right? So that's logos. Then the rhetorical device that's being used is a rhetorical question, right? Getting people to think about asking why and how their future's on the line. Good. So the logical fallacy here is appeal to fear. Probably could be other logical fallacies as well, but appeal to fear because if we don't do something now, then our future is in jeopardy, right? If we don't help decrease ADD, our future will be in jeopardy for these students. And then the other thing that is being used, sorry, I'm closing my door again. The other thing that's being used is for propaganda is plain folk, right? Because it's just showing a everyday student in school, and is the propaganda technique is plain folk, right? So good example of an excellent ad, really good summary that gives me not only what is being used, but why, right? I need to know not just that this is a rhetorical question, but how is that rhetorical question effective? Okay, so the last one I want to show you is a little bit different. So obviously this is more of a maybe like an ad, but maybe a radio ad or a television ad where there's a little bit more speaking to it. So that's okay if you would like to do that. My only requirement for this is it all has to fit on one slide. Your advertisement can't take up 2 and 3 slides. It has to be on one slide specifically, and all 4 components have to be on that slide with it, okay? So it all has to fit there. So Taylor Swift, we know she loves her cats, so she's talking about her cats. She gives information about saving the cats. She has some statistics in there. She gives kind of her own testimony, a little bit of what she thinks. So we have all of that information that is on this slide. So this summary slide is a little bit different. So before I had it where you copied the slide over and then you put little the student just copied the slide and they put in text boxes here. So you have the option to do that, or if you would rather type it out, you're more than welcome to do that. So what you have to do is talk about the devices used, so rhetorical appeal, rhetorical devices, propaganda, logical fallacy. You tell what they are and how they were effective in your ad. So rhetorical here were pathos and ethos. They use obviously more than one there. The metaphor that they used were my cats Meredith and Olivia are my best friends. Then you have propaganda technique, excuse me, bandwagoning that was used, and logical fallacy is black and white. So if you want poor, innocent, starving, and helpless kittens to be saved, you must donate today. So either donate or don't donate, right? So that is a really good example of how the project should be completed. So hopefully that helps you. If you have any questions, please let me know. Like I said, this is a little bit more lengthy than normal, but hopefully you will get the gist of what is being done. We are going to go over this Wednesday in class. So if you have any questions, please let me know.